Hi, I'm Brian Crum. I'm a neurologist at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I work in the EMG lab, and I also specialize in neuromuscular disorders, including ALS, or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. ALS is a really devastating neurological disorder that causes weakness in patients. And as neurologists, we think about this as a disorder that affects the upper motor neurons and the lower motor neurons. And you need both pieces of this to have your muscles move voluntarily. And when you have disease of both the upper motor neuron and the lower motor neuron, this is what we would define ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. And patients with this disorder generally begin with weakness in one part of the body. That tends to be either in a foot, causing things like a foot drop or foot slap, or their foot hits the ground when walking, or sometimes starts with weakness of the hands. They have trouble with gripping things or doing things with their hand. In occasion, the patients begin with weakness in the face, so they have trouble with talking and sometimes chewing, but usually talking is the initial thing where the speech may be a little bit slurred or harder to understand. So patients begin with those kinds of symptoms, and generally the disease progresses, and the initial evaluation can include a number of different tests, but it on average takes about a year to get that diagnosis made. Because initially the symptoms can be hard to pinpoint to a diagnosis for sure. And sometimes the tests that are done early on don't always show the definitive diagnosis. But we know that with ALS, as the disease progresses, people become weaker in that part of the body, either the arm or the leg or the face, and with time it tends to progress to other parts of the body. That is where really the disability comes with the disorder as the disease progresses through the body. Some other common symptoms would include things like what's called fasciculations, which is muscle twitching, which you can see under the skin. Now that is something that occurs in everybody, but when it's coupled with weakness and atrophy of muscles, makes us also concerned about the diagnosis of ALS. Most of the time there's not significant amount of pain, nor any trouble with sensation like numbness or tingling. People don't have headaches. They generally don't have problems with memory or thinking or with vision. It's really just the weakness problem that is the beginning of the disease and what happens as the disease progresses and gets worse.